There was an awkward encounter yesterday at UFC 306 Media Day between UFC lightweight Daniel Zellhuber and a reporter. And I think a lot of people are getting this thing wrong. And I'm going to talk about that in today's video. My name is James Lynch. So if you haven't seen the clip, we're going to watch it here right now. It's in its entirety. It's about 35 seconds. And then I'm going to give my thoughts on this after, because I have some things to say about this.
You've obviously got a few wins in a row, but the last Noche UFC didn't go your way. Does this feel like a second chance to kind of impress on a big night?
I don't know what you're talking about, because last Noche UFC I submit Yagos.
I meant to say to have another shot at having another big performance. To impress the crowd once again.
Could you repeat the question again,
Sorry.
please?
Are you excited to have another chance to impress the crowd once again?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so a couple things on this. First off, I know the reporter. Really good guy. He's a guy that's covered events for a number of years. This isn't some rookie that's stepping in there. My take on this is he just made a mistake. I'm seeing a lot of comments on here, people saying he's not doing his research, and even Michael Chiesa. And again, I don't blame people for having this reaction, because if you don't know the backstory, this would be a typical reaction to this. Chiesa saying this guy should have his media credential pulled. He obviously didn't do his homework. I think he just made a mistake. Here's what I think happened with this reporter. I think someone else asked a question that he wanted to get asked, because if people don't know at Media Day, how it works is obviously the big outlets like your MMA Fighting, Oscar at MacLife, these guys get the questions first. So they get the best questions off the top. And then, you want to get a question in because obviously you're there, you want to contribute to the event. And so, usually what I do, I come up with like 10 different questions for every fighter. That way, if it does come my turn, maybe a question that I thought of hasn't been asked yet. So it could have happened there where maybe they gave him the mic and he just forgot the question he was going to ask. So he just said something like this. The other thing is he could have quickly glanced over his Tapology record and not saw that, he did win the last time at UFC Noche. That's happened to me too. I feel really bad for this reporter because I've done this as well. Thankfully, it wasn't like a viral moment, but I've had, times where I've messed up, whether it's a fighter's record or something, or maybe I read something too quickly and maybe my memory's not as good. It happens, but this isn't a lack of research. This is just someone who made a mistake. And I think people are really going too hard in the paint. And I'm not going to mention the reporter's name on here because I'm sure he's already dealing with a lot of this backlash on social media. I already see people, doing the witch hunt out here for what was asked. I think he would have done himself a favor by not continuing through. And look, it's hard because it's the heat of the moment. He realized right away that he said something wrong when Zellhuber's like, I actually won at the last Noche event, right? So he kind of tried to play it off the same way like a comedian would play off a heckler. Like, you just got to move on with the show. That's actually the proper thing to do. The problem is he tried to double down and make it out like he didn't say what he said. So Zellhuber, you can see it right here, super confused. Where is it? Right here where he's like, where's the part?
Big performance to impress the crowd.
So that moment right there, he's like, what are you talking about? What he should have said was, and this is again, like I can't speak for myself. Maybe I would have made the same mistake if I was in the same boat, but what he should have done, and I think would have been a little bit more of a saving grace, is saying my mistake. And then just come up with a different question. Because he's like trying to double down on the question he initially asked, which was wrong. And he's trying to pretend to Zellhuber that he didn't say that he lost the last fight at Noche. He's basically going in here and saying, what I meant is that you look good in your last fight. Are you looking to put on a good performance? Now, the other thing I'll just quickly criticize as well, because, again, I do think people have the wrong idea here, but the reporter's not totally off the hook, is the question of, are you looking as this is some kind of redemption? Let's say he did lose his last fight. The question of, are you looking for some sort of redemption? Obviously, he's going to say yes. I think the question overall could have been better, even if he was right about Zellhuber losing his last fight. And like I said, he would have done a better job if he just would have said, hey, my mistake, and then go on to a new question. But I don't think this is a case of lack of research. So of course, everyone, when they see something like this, I mean, the media, MMA media in general, gets, pretty heavily criticized, I should say, from people who aren't in the media. But a lot of these people don't really understand how the media works. So let's go look at some of the comments, and I'm going to give some additional thoughts after this. So, people are already trying to find out who he is, doubled down and made it worse. So I do agree with that. Again, should have said, I made a mistake, and then asked a different question. Here's the thing. Meanwhile, there are experts out there who would kill for this job. I don't think that's entirely accurate as far as like this, this job, because there's some stuff that I don't think people understand. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I just think, actually, no, I'll just talk about it now. So the guy who asked this question is someone that I'm pretty sure, for the most part, pays his way to cover events, meaning he has to pay for his hotel, his transportation, and he gets the media pass for working at the outlet he's with. I don't think a lot of people know that. Like this guy saying I would kill for this job. I think this guy's, and I'm not blaming this guy either because again, he doesn't know the whole story. That's why I'm doing this video. I think that this guy just assumes this is a media member that is, paid entirely to cover this event, meaning he gets a rate to cover the event, his hotel, travel, food, all that's covered. Most of the people that are covering these events don't have that. And I've done other videos on this on the channel, like where people are, you're basically like investing in trying to cover an event. Like even myself, I've mentioned this before when I've covered UFC events. I have outlets that will pay part of my trip, meaning like give me a work rate or whatever, but they're not paying the entire thing. So in a lot of cases, unless you're with like MMA Fighting or MMA Junkie or any of these big outlets, some of these, I shouldn't say some, a lot of these people are basically paying out of pocket to cover this event. So again, people would kill for this job. The guy just made a mistake. That's what I don't think people are realizing. People are looking at it as someone who has this glamorous job where they're paid and flown out everywhere and they're just being lazy. It's not that in this case. I'm telling you guys, the guy who asked this is a really good guy. I'm going to go to bat for him here. I think he made a mistake and I think it just happens. You can't be perfect all the time. You're going to get stuff wrong. So yeah, that's kind of how I see this thing. And I don't blame Chiesa or any of these other people in the comment for having the reaction they're doing. I just think people got to realize that like I said, it's not a case of where he's just, has everything. Like it's not like he's like a full-time media member doing this. A lot of people have other jobs and are doing this on the side in an attempt to get into full-time where they can have that, full-time job from MMA Fighting or MMA Junkie. So there's that half of it. And the other half of it is, I don't think he didn't research because it's not like he had a history of asking these questions in past media days, or it's not like this happened in other instances. Here's an example of someone not doing the research. Okay. Let's say he asked Zellhuber, a question of like, hey, you're fighting this guy. Like, let's say it wasn't Robodux who Zellhuber's fighting, right? Like, just as an example. That would not be doing research, or saying like, how does it feel to, I don't know. I'm just even trying to think. So the fight he lost was against Trey Ogden, and that definitely was not a Noche card, I don't think. Yeah, that was at the Apex. So yeah, he actually hasn't lost. Honestly, what I think here is that he probably mixed him up with another fighter, which happens. But again, you gotta double check these things. Otherwise, you're gonna have moments like this. And I can only imagine how he's feeling. Like I'd be feeling awful. I'm sure people are DMing him saying all this stuff, you suck, whatever. When I just look at it as like a simple mistake. But I don't think it's due to lack of research. I think he just made a mistake and got mixed up with another fighter. And to give like a better example of like someone like not doing their research would be like, I don't know, just asking like a basic question, like, how do you feel in this fight? That's a question that doesn't require any research. I could go cover an NFL team right now that I know nothing about or any of their players, and I could say, how are you feeling? That would be a question that provides no research whatsoever. That's not what he did here. At least he, he was acknowledging something. Again, I don't know which fighter he got mixed up with, but I just look at this as a mistake. And I think people just got to chill out. There's a lot of people, the sharks are circling when it comes to the media. I think in a lot of cases, a lot of people want these jobs. Like this guy says here, clear as day, I would kill to have his job. Well, maybe you don't understand that the guy who was that was covering this event has spent years building things up and, just like working his way up. And that's how he was able to get these credentials and able to go to events. And like I said, this is not a guy who has a history of asking bad questions like this. The guy made a mistake. It happens. There was an instance actually with, I can't remember which reporter it was, but this actually happened where a veteran reporter mixed up another fighter. I think it was Charles Jourdain. Might have been that one. There's actually two instances. There's the one with Robbie Lawler. Do you remember this from years ago where a guy thought that he was talking to Robbie Lawler and it wasn't? He was talking to, I think, Albert Tumanov or something. So he got Lawler and Tumanov mixed up as a person. And then there's another one recently with Charles Jourdain where I think it was Claudio Puelles, and I think he got him mixed up with Charles Jourdain or something. I wish I had it handy, but yeah, I mean, this has happened before even to veteran reporters, and I would consider this person as well a veteran reporter. So yeah, I just, again, I'm only doing this video because I think people got the wrong idea here. It's not that this guy didn't do his research. Again, Chiesa is saying he should get his, credential pulled. I don't blame him for this reaction again. I just think that, it's not as easy to say that as well. And I know a lot of people don't like the media because a lot of them want to do this job. It's as simple as that. So I don't know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree with me here? I'm just coming from the side of the media here, and just pointing out that this guy made a mistake. It's not a case of a guy who, like I said, is taking his job for granted. I really do think he made a mistake. And I think everyone's got to chill out a little bit. That's the nature of social media. Everyone's quick to react. It's like, oh my God, I got to mob this guy for making a mistake. I can only imagine how bad it was. I'm sure all of you out there, as you're watching this, has made a mistake in their job. Now imagine a bunch of people seeing this publicly and swarming you on social media. That's probably what he's going through right now. So that's all I got to say. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @LynchOnSports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.